The onSecurity podcast aims to inform and challenge the viewer on all things cybersecurity. Our sponsor, Onshore Security, is a premier provider of full telemetry cybersecurity detection via its Panoptic Cyber Defense Service and managed security solutions.
Hello, welcome to the Onshore or onSecurity podcast. I'm your host, Stel. I'm the CEO of Onshore Security. And our producer is Josh Ecklow. Say hi, Josh.
Hey, everybody.
And with us today, we have Amy Hesser of Hesser Communications. And full disclosure, Hesser Communications is our firm for public relations. And that's the one who's been notching us up to new levels, including this one. It would not have happened without you, Amy.
Thank you so much, Stel. Great working with you and Josh. That's for sure.
Yeah. So how long did we, going on 2 years now?
About a year and a half. Yeah.
Oh, no, and it's a treat because all these things that we've done, I think the podcast to some extent could be a culmination of it. But we're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about something that is bugging me. And that is that we put out these materials, content, blogs, posts, whatnot. And I can't quite put my finger on what gets attention, what doesn't. And somehow you can call it. You called it a couple of times. I want the examples and I want a discussion about that. What is getting attention? Why does one either article or event is newsworthy and another doesn't? What do you think?
Well, that's a great question, and thanks for posing it. As you know, Stel, I come from the media. I was a broadcast journalist for many years before I got into tech PR. And so I come with those media insider insights and sensibilities about what is news and what's not news. And one thing I'd say is I have, since .com, found cybersecurity a very sexy topic. But right now, it's spicier than ever. I mean, even since my company, Hesser Communications Group, took on Onshore as a client a year and a half ago, we have just seen the overall public awareness of cybersecurity issues go through the roof. And that's just in the last 18 months. It's getting more attention than ever as our world has changed through the pandemic, and work from home is looking like more of a forever thing, or at least some hybrid of it is. And the attacks are getting bigger and bolder and more extreme. Cybersecurity is on everybody's mind more than ever. And
but not everything is taken up. Not everything's taken up, though. I mean, not everything gets attention, though.
Well, let's take yesterday as for example, a real world example. I mean, Facebook was down, Instagram, WhatsApp, Facebook's stock is tanking. The Facebook whistleblower, had just come out on 60 Minutes, all these things. And the average person is sitting there going, okay, what's going on? Is this another cyber attack? Is this a coordinated attack to bring down Facebook, either internally or externally? And, first thing, I was on with you and Onshore's head of marketing asking that very question. Do we need to be ahead of this with the news cycle? What is happening here?
What is it? So, yeah. What is it about it then? And it was not cyber attack. We all know that, but still, you got a lot of attention. What is different about that than, I don't know, what stories don't get attention?
It's impact on people's lives.
It's personal. So it's personal. It's more not as opposed to maybe my company or something. That seems to have the highest, whatever.
Well, and something that marketer, they used to a lot of times look at, it's B2B or it's B2C but really, even if it's a B2B play, a company, a service, what have you, we have to remember that those B2B decision makers are people, right? Yeah. That have real world things happening in their day-to-day lives with them and their families. And they're going to notice the things that are touching their lives. Those things are going to have a higher news impact because of that.
Mm-hmm. I'm thinking about some of these attacks that were B2B attacks and that I guess directly, indirectly did affect end users' lives. Were those hotter stories? I mean, for instance, was Capital Pipeline a hotter story than the Hafnium, Microsoft email attack, for instance? You know,
Well, the Colonial Pipeline attack, I think, it has more overall public awareness
mm,
because people remember that for a little bit there was the threat of a gas shortage or actual gas shortage in some parts of the country.
mm.
Um, and so people, hit them where they live and they're going to remember it. And the news, even though it's more fragmented than ever, those items that get people's attention and are trending topics, those are the ones the media outlets, digital and traditional, that they're going to keep feeding, because people want to know more and want to consume more content about those issues.
Do you think that the let's say there's the general public, the total consumers, and there's lots of the public that are, like you said, both in business and concerned about their businesses as well as kind of their consumers, even though their attention span it leans towards their kind of consumer side. Okay, but do you think that those people that they truly want to be informed, or is this just salacious? Like this
Oh,
like
yeah, that's a
sexy and
good
juicy
question.
and exciting and you know
I think in these uncertain times, people want to know what's breaking so they know how to adjust, how to adjust the sails of their life as quickly, and on the best trajectory as possible.
Okay, so it's not like, oh, I here's a train wreck. Oh, I'm wow, I'm watching this train wreck. How exciting it is. Rather, you think that across the board, pretty much, like people really are thinking about like making decisions. Do you think there's like change? Do you think people feel, is there a fear that they want to kind of alleviate, or that they want to pivot, they want to change their lives in some way? I mean, is this a fear kind of driver? Is it an investor kind of driver? Like I want to think about like what kinds of industries I should invest in. What's get me? I want to get to that core of that person, that interest that they have.
I think one thing the pandemic has done, it's awakened people.
You know,
Um, and it's awakened people to their lives, how they're living their lives, and the factors that are determining how they live their lives. And so I would say, worldwide, even, people are much more interested in these macro level happenings and how they're trickling down into their day to day life.
do you think there's any hope for like leveraging this to educate users on kind of, well, individual practices as well as practices in their organizations? I know we put out any kind of like more informative education kind of blog. If it doesn't have some kind of incident tied to it, I just it doesn't get the same attention. And so I mean, what is there hope for getting people to actually act on this instead of just being interested and scared and making good decisions, better decisions? Are they still going to act? How do we do that?
Yeah, I think still, it's that old phrase, necessity is the mother of invention. And definitely with work from home, and work from anywhere, really, opening up these new avenues for exploits as well.
Hmm.
Compliance is getting tighter. We're seeing the SEC and others, starting to crack down more and give us indicators that they will be cracking down more with compliance type issues. So that's certainly going to drive changes in behavior.
I like the SEC one because a lot of the American public is invested in the stock market one way or the other. I mean, it's I think it's we're very high compared to the rest of the world, and I would think that there's that kind of attention span. That's not everybody. That's a class thing just to a good extent, but that's a lot of people, and a lot of people who can vote with their feet in their pocketbooks. Do you think that's going to be a factor in their, both what they pay attention to and with the actions they take? How it affects their, portfolios?
Oh, absolutely. Especially uh, with so many economic uncertainties today, it just seems like things can change on a dime. Um, even us going back to the beginning of 2020, where, let's be honest, nobody saw that coming.
Right.
Nobody saw that they would be with their families in their homes locked down for 90 days. Even at the beginning, it was supposed to be for 2 weeks. And the changes that has brought about in everything from education to lifestyles, to work styles.
Yeah, it really just makes me wonder a lot about like, you know, yeah, you could bring a horse to water kind of thing. I mean, in the cybersecurity world, this is it's our kind of pet peeve that there's a lot of things that people should be doing that are frankly pretty, maybe easy or maybe they're just tedious, but they're not expensive. They're not big giant projects, and a lot of those things aren't done or not done well. And I've always felt like compliance really is the driver. That they're not there isn't this real drive for being better or more secure. I shouldn't say there isn't, but it's lesser. And I never felt like there was anything that could be done about it. I mean, you're opening my eyes, but I do need to get smart about what it is that people do kind of pick up so that those messages can come through because they haven't been coming through. I mean, there was this recent one. There's some scan about like how many servers have whatever open ports for XYZ known vulnerability, and it's like crazy. It just people are leaving stuff wide open. Are they not listening and they're not paying attention? Is it too esoteric or techie or weird or whatever is being described? Or frankly, like I actually been told in the past, they don't believe it. That they feel like we're overhyping things because there's a gain for our companies to do cybersecurity. But instead, here's what you're telling me, that they got pay attention when there's an impact. They pay attention. Somehow that dotted line needs to become a more solid line, and they need to see that like, oh, that big attack on the pipeline is ransomware. Well, what do I do to prevent that from happening? What does my company do to prevent that from happening? You know, rather than, oh, boy, this ransomware stuff is, that's why I was saying to you, like, oh, isn't it just like it's just because it's watching a train wreck, it's kind of, exciting. But no, you're saying no, they're interested in where it's impactful to them.
Yeah. Well,
So
and
how do I cross that dotted
what I'd
line?
say too, Stel, to sorry to
Yeah.
interrupt you there,
No,
but
please, please.
one of the reasons you're a thought leader is because you see these things on the horizon before the rest of us, and you bring them to light. And I remember when we started together, Onshore's tagline, because security gives us freedom.
Mhm.
I remember being like, guys, I don't know. I mean, that's not really working for me. I don't know about that tagline. And
Yeah.
now I think it's the most brilliant tagline out there. Like, what business, organization, what individual does not resonate with that tagline today? Because
Right.
security gives us freedom. Because if you're not secure, you're not doing business. You're not doing anything.
Right. And you're not even getting gas, right?
Right. That's right.
How's that for limiting your freedom? Or maybe it should be, freedom to not have to watch, train wreck, cybersecurity incident reports, news, I think, whatever. Um, well, okay, well, Amy, that's a good note, I think, to end on. You're awesome. Yeah, I don't know if I'll ever really understand this stuff, I have to say. So I need your brain. Please keep giving me your insights and help us understand.
Well, it's
Maybe
job
I'm just too much of
security here, so I
yeah,
appreciate
that's good.
that.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, maybe I'm too much of a nerd. I don't understand people. I don't know, and maybe. But anyways, but it's always a treat to kind of think through this stuff. But really, I say that because I do enjoy it. But man, this is a big deal, and we really just have to keep it up and keep informing people. Thanks for your help there, Amy.
Well, thank you, Stel, for being that thought leader that's bringing so much of this to light, that's taking the veil off of these things that we all need to know every day now, more and more. And also, I appreciate as a thought leader, um, you've done a lot to illuminate us on how geopolitics plays out in what's coming up ahead and what already has gone down. So keep the good stories coming, because you're educating the rest of us to be in a position to take the right actions.
Oh, that'll be the next discussion, and I don't know if that gets attention from a public. Some of our blog entries have been a little bit political. I don't know if that has helped or hurt to get attention, but that'll be our next topic, is to talk about the politics of cybersecurity, whatever, in the public, all right, till next time, thanks everybody. It's Onshore on Security. My name is Stel Valavanis, and thank you, Amy Hesser.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you so much.
Raj Eklo. All right, bye-bye.